So in this video, I wanted to look at the range of Lamy fountain pen nibs. It can be really difficult to choose whether you want a broad or a medium or fine or extra fine. So I've picked up all of them, at least all the popular ones, over the years, and I wanted to sort of run through which nibs made sense and probably help people figure out which one is right for them. You can see right here, this is the standard Lamy steel nib. And the nice thing about this is it's modular, which is to say, like, there's a plastic feed piece here, that's that purple black piece, and a steel nib over it. It might also be a gold nib, but I usually use the steel ones. And basically this metal piece, it slips right off, and you can put it on any of your other Lamy pens. Except for the 2000, that doesn't apply here, that has a different nib style. But in this case of this Studio or the other Lamys, it's very easy to do. And here's the example of what the nib looks like. It's a little hard to focus, but it's basically just a little piece of steel or gold, and it slips right on or off of the feed. It takes 10 seconds to do. So the way you tell the nibs apart, aside from a visual inspection, that is, of the writing, which is not very easy to do, is through that little letter right there. And perhaps you could see it says Lamy, and then there's a B. If it is a gold nib, it would either be bicolor, up where it's purple there, it would look a little gold, or it would say between, I guess above the B, it would say 585, say, and 585 is stands for 58.5%, which is percent of gold in a 14 karat gold, in that case, in the gold nib. Anyway, so that is the basics on Lamy nibs, and here is the broad. Here is medium. That's on a Lamy ST, and then I have fine. Keep those in order. Extra fine, and I actually do have a Lamy LH, and that's the left-handed nib. I believe it's a medium size, but it's cut for to work well with people that are left-handed. It's probably not something we're gonna be able to make out with my camera quality here, but yeah, it's a Lamy LH nib, very useful for left-handed individuals like myself, and that just exists because left-handed people are pushing as they write instead of pulling. And that is true if you are writing in English, where you're going from right to left, say, but not true in other languages necessarily. So we'll look into this quick sample I did a few minutes ago. You may want to pause and zoom or do whatever to look closely, but now you can see the full range. We have the EF, which is extra fine, fine, medium, B for broad, and then LH for left-handed. You see the LH is pretty much in line with the medium. I don't know if that's official or not, but there you have it. So just to be clear, this is a Tomoe. Let's go with Tomoe river paper. So it's like a fountain pen type paper. So like the feathering and the bleeding and that sort of stuff, it will be really limited. And this really is like gonna make it, the differences between one nib to the others, the most clear. If you're just writing on cheap, printer type paper, then it doesn't really matter so much, and it's almost impossible to tell the difference between a fine and an extra fine. But here, you can probably sense a pretty, maybe not significant, but a noticeable difference. And that difference, it gets pretty huge with that B, that broad. That's like generally not a super practical pen. Fun to use, yes. Helpful if you're left-handed and you're doing that push thing with your pen, but generally not super fun, super practical. We'll start off with the broad. So this is the Lamy Studio broad. And all these nibs in the steel have very, very limited flex. So I'm not going to get too into that. There's just not a lot of variation when you're riding with these Lamy nibs. They're relatively smooth, but you don't buy them for flex or variation. So I'm not going to really get into that. And there's the Broad. Having a lot of focusing issues today. That's the Broad. In all of these are using Lamy's cartridges. I just wanted that to kind of level the playing field, and you could see what that looks like. Just that cartridge. For some reason I had some of these purple ones kind of blowing through them. Okay, now we'll move over. This is a Lamy, and we can see, probably just make out that M there. So this is the Lamy ST medium. It's a pretty big jump between the ST in that medium and the Broad. It's a definite, like the medium is a relatively wet writer for day to day, whereas the Broad is more like a signature type writing. It's not super practical day to day. Now we're going to jump over to the Lamy. This is called the CP1. I'll be doing reviews of all these pens in the future. And this is the Fine. Fine, I would say for me is just a really nice day-to-day. Somewhere between the Fine and medium. I go back and forth on which is the best for me, but the Fine I think is where most people want to be day-to-day for general use. That's why I put it on the CP1. I've been told that's a very practical day-to-day pen. I didn't buy this one too long ago, just a couple weeks, so I'm still forming my opinion on it. I'll do a video in the near future. Now this is the Lamy, the logo with the extra fine. So I actually like the extra fine a lot too. I had avoided it for a long time, despite how much people sort of freak out about the extra fine and how special it is and all that other stuff. I always thought it would be too fine, but it's really not bad at all. I haven't found this nib to be scratchy or unpleasant to use. It's a very nice, very practical nib. I generally prefer the fine. I think it's just a little bit wetter and a little bit more like easy to use day to day, but the fine is totally great. And if you're on the fence and you like more of a thinner Japanese style, I would not hesitate to get the extra fine, even if it's not my personal preference. It's still very, very practical. Whereas like usually if you have to put extra in front of something, especially a fountain pen nib, I find that they tend to be just too scratchy and just not worth, buying something that is like a specialty. And now we have the that LH. And the LH isn't sold on any pens. You have to buy the nib, costs about $15, and then just kind of push it on to one of your pens. It takes, again, 10 seconds to do. So this is the and that is the Studio. I should have written that out. But this is definitely a wetter, more in line with that medium. And this one definitely you could feel when you write it is more opinionated. It's definitely like it's designed for use with a left hand, whereas the other ones are easier to use either way. If you want something right hand specific, Lamy has like a nib called the OM, like an oblique medium, which is really right hand specific. I don't know why you'd want that, but they did sell that nib, and I don't know if it's still available now, but I have seen that one in the past. And that LH, it is nice and smooth. It feels very natural for use with the left hand, which is not always the case. But here we go. Sorry about the focus problems this video, but Lamy Broad through extra fine. Honestly, the distinction between the fine and extra fine is not huge, so I wouldn't stress out too much about that choice. Generally leaning towards the fine as being my pick for good day-to-day writing. Still very pleasant, not too dry, not scratchy. I would say go fine. If you tend to lean towards Japanese pens, then you have the extra fine, which is still reasonable. The medium and the broad are fairly wet. In fact, in this sample here, you could see that's a Platinum 3776 broad, and it's essentially a equivalent of a Lamy medium. So there you have it. And let's see if I could do a quick sample between the two just to wrap that up. So that should be it. That is a full comparison of all of Lamy's popular nib sizes. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this will help save you guys from unnecessary purchases. I've obviously done some investment to get here and record this video. So please do subscribe if you get a chance. Thanks for watching.